And welcome to the Divinely You podcast, as well as Saradivinelyyou on YouTube. I just thought that y'all might want to just celebrate with me. I don't have like any champagne or nothing like that. I'm gonna probably go to bed early. I'm pretty tired. And also it's very cold and rainy here, so I'm probably gonna go sit in a very hot bath and then call it a day. But I wanted to, first of all, it's my 1 year anniversary of landing in Phoenix. Thinking I was only going to be there a couple of months, and then 2020 went as 2020 went. And then as it got hotter in Arizona, the more I was thriving mentally and physically. So I decided that Arizona was home. So the trip I'm currently on is not permanent. It is just a trip because I wanted to travel more this year. I signed up for something called trustedhousesitters.com. It's an opportunity for people to be digital nomad and but not have to pay for lodging. And so but in exchange you watch people's pets in their house and all of that. So I'm here with a husky and 2 guinea pigs for most of this next week. And it is supposed to warm up, I think, after tomorrow or something. So hopefully I'll get to explore a little bit, but yeah, so here I am. And I had pretty an amazing week, actually. I've had a few opportunities, conversations that are kind of in the initial stages of like, oh, maybe we can explore that kind of conversations. Or, even just putting bugs in the ears of people in different roles and being like, hey, would your company want to explore this or that? Or would you want, you as your own entity want to explore this option or that option? So just some conversations that are going. And of course, many of you saw that I'll be hosting, or I have a table at a vendor event to sell my crochet coming up. What else happened this week? Recently I spoke with my editor, well, not my editor, but my publisher, which is going to be Hearts Unleashed House Publishing. They're the ones that are going to publish my fictional narrative, and I've been dropping excerpts from that here on YouTube, not so much on Facebook, but yes, I've been sharing the links on Facebook. So I've been working on that. And what else is going on? I feel like there was other stuff. So while I'm celebrating and acknowledging myself for all of the amazing shit that's going on in my life, I am also like reflecting back at the first like month and a half of this year. And I'm like, this has been a really, really tough, like I remember going into this year thinking this year is going to be stretchy. It's going to be expansive. And then I had like, some circumstances that came up that I had to dig in and deal with some emotional shit. And I posted it on my Instagram. I believe that post to my Facebook page, like a 5-part post that talked about like the process at which I went through. Kind of want to share a little bit of that here. Is like, I was supposed to move from one friend's house to another because the other house was going to have more conveniences, and I was going to be closer to accessing the airports and transit and this and that. And ultimately it didn't work for me to make that move because I just decided it wasn't the right environment. For those of you who've been following me for a long time, in 2015, 2016, I did have some pretty badly emotionally and financially abusive relationships. And this felt like it was going to be similar to that. This wouldn't have been a romantic situation by any means, but I feel like it was going to be something similar in the manipulation, and then being devalued for who I am and being criticized for who I am. And so as I was like digging into this isn't going to work, like letting go of a lot of old relationships that are just no longer serving. And I'm not slamming the door in people's faces, and I'm not giving them the heave ho or fuck you or anything like that. But for me, I decided to put myself through a process of releasing these people and these relationships from my life, because I needed to do this for me. And lo and behold, just, a week after I go through this process, and the 5-step process, is when all these doors just start opening. And I'm like, there's magic on the other side of the hard work. So I know I have talked about coaching till the ends of the earth and back again. And I'm going to keep doing it because I think it's that important, because I couldn't have gotten through the last month and a half without coaches. I had coaches. I had a couple of astrologers too, but I had coaches that were supporting me getting through this. And a lot of it was taking responsibility for who I am and how I'm designed. I have said the statement a couple of times in the last month that I think that my long-term relationship folks think I'm crazier now than when I was actually crazy, aka when I was mentally ill, when I felt like shit and hated my life. That seems to have been okay. But now that I've, gone to spirituality and astrology and studying these kinds of things and feeling really good about myself and my life and accepting who I am at a whole different level, they're not okay with that. And that's why it was time for them to go, because ultimately, what was I going to do? Stay in relationship with these people who just want me to be depressed? I wasn't going to find I wasn't going to find happiness being like in relationships with them, being friends with them. I just wasn't, because they don't see me as the, worthy of love person that I am. They don't see me as having value. They see me as being too sensitive or too emotional or too much or too this or too that. And I'm all those things, but I'm not I can't be over the top. But as I have learned more about my astrology chart and more about my human design, I'm like, this is who I am though. And I just no longer want to be in relationships with people who can't accept that, or who want to dim me out, or who want to criticize me or judge me for being who I am, who I was designed to be. And yes, there's a part of it that's my responsibility to be in charge of my emotions and in control of my emotions. But and I take that responsibility. And it's also my responsibility to be in control of who's in my world and being treated a certain way and all that. So that was the first couple of parts. The first part was taking ownership of my own self, my emotions, that I am sensitive, owning it, knowing that it's okay, believing in my own value and my worth. So that was the first thing. The second thing was letting the relationships go, like just literally in my mind, picturing the relationship with the person and then tearing up the contract between us, right? Tearing up the relationship contract between us. Like, bye, we're done. I love you. All of the things, I forgive you, but I can't do this anymore. I can't have this go on. And then the third part was, I'm distracted by guinea pigs making noise. Like having gratitude for the obstacles that got in the way, that sort of disrupted my plan. And at first I was really pissed, like, what the fuck is this about? Who the fuck are these people? This sucks, blah, blah, blah. And ultimately I'm like, you know what? I'm glad those obstacles showed up, because it gave me time to think things through and to come to this conclusion that this was just not going to work. So having gratitude towards people who showed you something. And to be honest with you, this gave me a whole new level of gratitude for a guy I was with back in 2015. Because had that relationship not happened, as horrific as it was, I would have never even started this healing process to explore my self-worth, to explore my value and all that. bad as that relationship was, I now get to be like, thanks, dude. Thanks for being the asshole who treated me like shit. So I saw how I was treating myself and how I was allowing other people to treat me. So that was the fourth one, was forgiving and expressing gratitude for the obstacles, the people, the obstacles that got in the way or that disrupted the plan. 4, surrendering to what God has planned. Okay. Because now all of a sudden I'm back in the situation that I don't necessarily want to stay in. And, staying at a place that, yes, it's a roof over my head, but it's a basement apartment. It doesn't have access to a lot of businesses immediately, and all of the things. So it's not my ideal living situation. So I got kind of pissed, like, why, God? Why are you making me stay in this situation that's not right? But then I had to remember that I have to surrender to the plan that God has, that the divine has for me, and allowing it to unfold. And so I allowed every single emotion around all of these steps. I was angry, sad, I cried, I was upset, I was annoyed, I was hurt, I was all of the things. But what I can tell you is that 5 years ago, when this happened, when a similar set of circumstances occurred, I crawled into a hole and I got really depressed. I got super sad. I was hurting. I was heartbroken. What's going on? Why is this happening to me? All of those dark things. And this time, yes, it felt like a dark place, but I processed it as it kept coming up. I threw myself into journaling. I threw myself into allowing the emotions and just kept processing and processing and processing and letting it all come through and through and through and through, just letting it all come out of my body, like however that looked. And I even remember sending a message to someone that said, I held out hope that the people who'd known me most of my life would want to join me on the next journey. And ultimately, I had to choose myself over them. In other words, I had to choose my worth and my value over crumbling into another hole of depression. So here I am, still doing live videos, still putting them on YouTube every day. Just traveled today in Texas for most of the next week. And yeah, what I like about traveling is that when I go somewhere where I don't have like 100 responsibilities, is I basically sleep a lot and I get a lot of rest, which is great. And so, but I definitely do have responsibilities. And as my workload continues to unfold in front of me, there are definitely things popping up. But I just want to celebrate the fact that like this process went completely differently this time than it did 6 years ago when I went through this before. It was very different then, and how I was completely different. So I'm super proud of myself for getting through this in a whole different way and standing up for myself, standing my ground, having the right people to tell me flat out, like, they don't deserve you. Having other people be like, you've always been the shit. And so it's been pretty magical to watch what's happened on the other side, which is, tons of like opportunities just opening up left and right and fulfilling a declaration. You guys, I used to be like I've been doing declare and fulfill since my coach's training program. And I've always been the one to say, it doesn't fucking matter what I declare, I never fulfill. And I just busted that story up because I just fulfilled a declaration. I said at the beginning of 2020, my intention was that I would travel twice per quarter each quarter. I have declared it and I just fulfilled quarter 1 by taking this trip. So much. You guys, I know there's a lot going on in the world. I'm not oblivious to it. But I feel like somebody asked me today, actually, like, if all this shit is going on and we want to change it and we want to make it go better, like, how can we change it? Like, clearly we can't all change the world. No, we can't individually change the world, but we can change how things go in our world. We can get talk therapy, get yourself a coach, work through your shit. Even if you think you don't have shit to work through, you probably have shit to work through. You've probably had some losses that you haven't grieved. You probably have some kind of something that happened in your life that you never really processed through. And you've tried to, maintain the I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. Maybe you are, and I'm not saying that you're not, but it doesn't hurt to work through some stuff. Change what you can change, right? Like, I've created this group, the Blind Outreach Resource Network, which may be merging into something else or with something else that's potentially on the back burner, or not on the back burner, but that's potentially in development, seeing where that goes. But it was me putting myself out there and being like, blind services needs to go dramatically differently, because what it's going at right now is bullshit. I alone cannot change how blind services goes for people, but I can sure the hell take a stand and use my voice on YouTube and Facebook and every other network I can think of, and tell people this is not okay. This can go differently. Here's what we can do to make it go differently. So you can't change the world, no, but you can change the things that are in your world to go differently. So while I know there's a lot going on out there, there's always going to be a lot going on out there. They're always going to have a new narrative, a new story for you to listen to and for you to get scared of and all that. Nobody's on the face anymore, but now we're all worried about a war. And I'm not saying we shouldn't be. We should be prepared. But what is that distracting you from? This is why I don't listen to the news at all. I do keep up. But I don't listen to the news. I don't listen to it constantly, regularly, all the time. I don't watch Netflix all the time, right? And I'm not trying to say that if you watch these things, you're bad or there's something wrong with you. I'm saying, what is all this shit distracting you from? What are you not pursuing? Because you're like, oh, I can't pursue that. Okay, as long as you say you can't, you won't. So I don't know. And I didn't think I could do a crochet vendor event. And then all of a sudden this one crosses my path because I set an intention that I was going to do it. And this one crosses my path. It's right up the street from where I live. So I don't even know. I actually don't even know how it showed up in my feed. I just saw something that said vendors needed or vendors wanted. And I clicked on it and it turns out it was right up the street from me. So it was probably in one of the groups that I never pay attention to. Anyway, I hope you found this to be helpful. This is, I posted an astrology clip on my Facebook yesterday. So hopefully you guys caught that. If not, scroll down my timeline and you can find it. This energy is so powerfully potent. It's so magical. And if don't get lost in the weeds at what's going on out there, stay in your space. So I think it's also extremely fitting that not far from me is a street called Jupiter. And Jupiter is the planet of abundance and expansion. So, alrighty. That's it for me for today. I'm going to go and take care of myself a whole hell of a lot and get some rest and stay warm because it is cold. And if y'all know me at all, you know I don't do cold. So yes, I lived in Chicago for 15 years. I grew up in Illinois, blah, blah, blah. I don't do cold. Thank you so much for tuning in on the podcast as well as on YouTube. I very much appreciate you, and please continue to support. PayPal link is in the description box below if you'd like to donate to the publication interpretation, fictional narrative. And on that, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Much love. Bye.